Deepti Laurent joins me on the set for the press review today. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Ginny.
Lots of reactions from the South African papers over that series of violent attacks on foreigners.
That's right. Townships in Johannesburg were hit by violence since Sunday. At least 5 people have been killed. Hundreds of people have been arrested. Shops were looted or burned to the ground. The violence really targeting foreign businesses, notably people from neighboring countries like Lesotho, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe, but also Nigeria and South Africa. It's really been devastating to South Africa's struggling economy. That's what this paper, Business Day, is reporting on its front page. Indeed, South Africa, actually, Cape Town is hosting the World Economic Forum that begins today, and it's hoping at least to show off its attractiveness to investors. So this violence really coming at a very bad time. President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday did condemn the violence, which this paper, Die Burger, sees as him putting his foot down, even though he was a little bit slow to do it.
But the bigger picture seems to be that a lot more really needs to be done to actually address the issues that are at the heart of this violence.
That's right, and that's poverty, unemployment, job prospects, particularly for a lot of the young people living in these impoverished townships. For this paper, The Citizen, it's clear that Ramaphosa's words aren't enough. Put out the fires, Cyril, that's what the paper says, addressing the president directly. Fires, perhaps the little burning issues at the heart of this violence that we talked about. The Citizen, which is a more of a nationalist paper catering to the masses, is worrying in its editorial today about the seeming powerlessness of the police and law and order forces in stopping the chaos. The situation is, quote, a violent challenge to the government, it says.
The British papers, meanwhile, are focusing on what some are calling Boris Johnson's humiliation.
That's right. Ministers returned to Westminster yesterday, but it turned out to be very much a spectacle. One of Boris Johnson's MPs defected from his party mid-session, meaning that the party lost that one-person majority in Parliament. Then the British Parliament struck down the first step towards blocking a no-deal Brexit, an historic vote, according to the Times today, that which says that it leaves the country in facing one of two situations: either a snap election in October, as Boris Johnson has threatened, or somehow finding yet another extension for the planned October 31st Brexit deadline. Now, on the flip side, the pro-Brexit Daily Express is really lashing out at the British Parliament for surrendering to the EU, as you see there on its front page. The paper calls it a, quote, shameful day in our so-called democracy, accusing rebel Tory MPs of betraying Brexit.
Staying with that Brexit theme, one MP, Jacob Rees-Mogg, who's the leader of the House of Commons, has sparked anger after stretching out in Parliament.
That's right. He casually stretched out on the Green Commons bench yesterday. You see him there. Some have called it mug spreading, actually. It drew the ire of politicians and the public alike, many of them accusing him of being arrogant and disrespectful. But in great British humor, he also found himself on the receiving end of many memes. One person putting him on the couch of The Simpsons, much to the bewilderment of our beloved yellow family. Actor Hugh Laurie condemned his posture as insolent and insufferable, with one user responding that perhaps we should be putting spikes on to stop politicians sleeping on benches. Finally, my favorite, someone has photoshopped Rees-Mogg as Kate Winslet's character in Titanic. Draw me like one of your French girls, he says.
That is very funny. At least they still have a sense of humor in all of this madness. Okay, let's come back to France, where a local mayor is in a fight with visitors climbing the peak of Mont Blanc in the French Alps.
That's right. This row actually stemming after a British Royal Marines vet, Matthew Paul Disney, attempted to climb Mont Blanc recently with a 26-kilogram rowing machine on his back, and a feat he was trying to do to raise money for charity. Disney said he was actually unable to bring it back down because it was too heavy, and said he'll retrieve it at a later date, and has denied littering on the mountain. But that hasn't stopped one local mayor from lashing out at visitors. He's actually demanding that the French government passes a law now, or introduces one at least, punishing the, quote, Loonies who break all the rules on Mont Blanc. Recently, a German climber forced his dog up the peak, despite the dog having bloody paws at the end of it. And in another, 2 Swiss mountaineers landed a small plane around 400 meters from the peak.
All right, Dipti, just to wrap up now, a German man has fulfilled a 15-year-old reality TV ambition. What's this?
Well, this is a great story, and as your day begins or as it gets underway, let this man be your inspiration today, Jeannie. A German lawyer, 36-year-old Jan Stroh, just won the big lot. He won $1 million on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but it wasn't a fluke. He spent years being rejected as a potential candidate. He was finally invited on the show, and he won. He actually told the host that he'd never missed any of the 1,407 episodes aired, and that his obsession goes beyond just tuning in to the TV. He actually studied the question and answers. He even reconstructed the studio in his basement, complete with victory glitter and sound effects. He says now with his money, he'll be buying a new suit, go on a holiday, and renovate that quiz studio in his basement.
I guess it just goes to show you determination pays off. Stick with it, no matter what. Titi, thank you for that. Titi Laurent with that look at the press review. You can get a closer look, of course, on our website. That address is france24.com.